Everglades story begins by heading back west on the Tamiami Trail and into the Miccosukee Indian Reservation. Here you can find Buffalo Tiger Airboat Tours, a company owned and operated by the tribe. They give rides through their sovereign nation, exploring these wetlands at the northern border of what is now Everglades National Park. The Miccosukee formally separated from the Seminoles of Florida in the 1950s, mostly because rather than compensation for stolen lands, traditional Miccosukee peoples wanted to continue their claim for this land to be returned to them, the rightful owners. This was the first airboat ride for both Nina and myself, so we have nothing to compare it to, but it is a thrilling excursion. Although spring water levels are quite low in this dry season, our boat is piloted deftly past mud and rocks, and we meet the other natives of the Everglades, some of whom came right up to the boat. In what indigenous people call pa-hay-okee, or grassy waters, we feel our spirits uplifted and strengthened. This is so often the case when following the lead of peoples that are so intertwined with land they have lived on for centuries, and all of the living and non-living beings that are part of their everyday lives. The name of the company, Buffalo Tiger, is taken from the original founder of the company, William Buffalo Tiger, a man that was also the first chairman of the Miccosukee tribe of Indians of Florida. Amongst others, his activism in the 1950s and early 1960s led to the tribe's self-determination and recognition from the federal government in 1962. Part of his strategy involved a visit to Cuba 3 years earlier to meet with Fidel Castro, who immediately recognized the people as a sovereign nation. This secured full diplomatic relations with the nearby island nation for the Miccosukee people and helped pressure the United States to do the right thing. One of, if not the most, special part of the airboat ride is actually a stop along the way where we have the chance to get off the boat and walk amongst the traditional structures of a small Miccosukee village that is no longer used. Our guide has brought a bundle of oak to light in the fire pit and explains that this offering is something he does each time he comes. The sweet smell of the burning wood fills our lungs as we get back on the airboat and continue the tour. The airboat tour will end up being a highlight of our entire trip, but a majority of this is because of the Miccosukee people and having the honor of learning just a tiny bit about their long history in what is now known as Florida. A little further down US Route 41, you can find the Miccosukee Indian Village Museum if you are compelled to learn more. Circling the Everglades National Park from the north edge at Buffalo Tigers around the east side to the main entrance is about a 70-kilometer drive. At this point, you can stop into the peaceful Ernest F. Coe Visitor Center to learn about some of the landscapes and wildlife you are certain to come across as you head to the end of the main park road and the Gulf Coast. Going through these different landscapes is very distinct as you drive, dominated at first by cypress trees. You continue through grasslands and wetlands, of course, and a sign that designates the highest point along the road, exactly 4 feet above sea level. The Everglades were established as a national park in 1947, mostly to prevent the vast system of wetlands from being permanently damaged by agricultural use. Since the beginning of the 1900s, the expansion of humans and their demands for land were threatening this fragile place. Even for those that are not fans of the cities in South Florida, the Everglades seems like a completely different world. Thank goodness it was prevented from becoming many hundreds more planned suburbs of Miami. At the terminus of the park road, about 60 kilometers past the entrance, lives an area called Flamingo. The vast majority of the available excursions start from the marina here, and there is another visitor center. Nina and I have signed up for the backcountry tour, which heads from the marina back up into the Everglades through Coop Bay and on to Whitewater Bay via Tarpon Creek.
It's a pretty cool place. You might be wondering why this is Everglades National Park.
The guides are on the lookout for wildlife to stop and take pictures of, and a good history of the park is given through no-wake zones when everyone can hear. While not nearly as extensive or as close up to nature as the airboat tour, we see more alligators and birds going about their days in the Everglades. The pontoon appears to be a little over half capacity, and this seems like a good amount of people so that everyone can shift between shade and sun and get views from different sides. After the excursion brought us back to the marina, we make our way back to the entrance of the park as leisurely as possible. There are a few short, enjoyable hikes to pull over for, each taking you through the forest and on boardwalks built over the wetlands and lakes. Make sure to put on a good amount of bug spray, or you might have to outrun the mosquitoes along the way. One of our most memorable encounters in the national park came on the side road to the Pa-hay-okee lookout tower, which was unfortunately closed during our visit. We were unaware of this closure and happened upon some wetlands along the way that were full of so many different types of birds that make the Everglades their home. Next time, we're driving out to the end, or is it the beginning, of US Route 1, all the way to Key West.